To start with, I'd like everyone to imagine a scene. You are 12. Every morning, you get up before sunrise, make your breakfast, and walk to school by yourself. You feel lonely, sometimes lost, but unlike your friends who can talk to their parents about everything, your parents work in a city that is far, far away. You start to forget their faces because you only meet once a year. You feel insecure, but looking at your younger brothers and sisters and your aging grandparents, you pretend to be strong. That's why you only cry when you are alone. This is not your life, but the daily life of 60 million left behind children in the current China. Deeply touched by their daily struggle, Fiona and I established Their Thought Affiliation, a letter exchange program in 2016, after viewing reports on the issue by Xinshang Charity. Today we are going to talk about what the club means to us, the 3 major problems we encountered, and a few tips on how to approach bigger issues as high school students.
When mentioning pen pals, many of us would think it as an old-fashioned way to make friends. It seems that letters or cards are out of date and out of fashion. Would our idea be appealed to the younger generation? Probably not. Would people be willing and able to form a long-lasting friendship? It's hard. These are real issues we faced when we started this pen pal program. One is studying abroad, while the other chasing dream in the village. The biggest issue is the long distance, how we're going to deal with that. With this unsolved puzzle in our mind, we strive to find a motivation. The story about Alibaba's founder, Jack Ma, and his Australian pen pal, David Morley, jumped out from the back of my mind. In 1980, the teenager Jack Ma saw a boy about his age and in the park of Hangzhou and approached to him to practice English. This boy was David Morley. From then on, a pen pal relationship forged between a Chinese boy and an Australian boy. According to Mr. Ma, Mr. David hadn't gone to university but believed in education. He taught Mr. Ma about life values, the importance of travel, etc. in their letters. Their bonding as pen pals inspired us to try on connecting some seemingly unattainable people. At the very beginning, we wanted to gather a small group of Chinese overseas students and left behind children in Gansu to see if our proposal works. But where to find these people? We thought we could maybe spread our idea to some chat groups on WeChat, which the members are mostly Chinese overseas students and their parents. We created some promotional tweets and sent out to those groups. The feedback we got were mostly positive. Most of the students really interested in our idea and be ready to join us. However, there's one group of members who really disagree our idea. They doubted our intention and worry about the negative consequences we might bring to this community. Here's what they questioned. Since there's a large wealth difference between these two communities, what if the letters will make the left behind children feel inferior to the city kids? And also, if people write by feet and stars, letters will not help them, but actually hurt them. Also, whether your club is established for the rewards of doing community service or genuinely helping this community. Their strong and dissonant criticism indeed disappointed us at first. We've thought over and over again whether we should keep up. But then we realized we're doing something that most of the people haven't thought about or failed to put into action. If we don't be the first one to make this happen, who knows the result will be? Also, we can't make everyone to support our idea, but what we can do is navigate the obstacles in a positive way. Instead of letting others to discourage us from reaching our goals, we were ready to race about the fray. Different from a controversial Chinese reality show, which exchanges spoiled city kids with innocent village students for a month to let them experience each other's life. Our club members are responsible overseas students who are willing to share sincere tips to their little sisters and brothers in distant area about their stories of growing up. And unlike taking a short-term exchange trip to there, we fully understand the constant cycle of connection and separation will create an instability in the lives of Chinese left-behind children. So, we created our club's philosophy here. We were not a bonfire lighting up on a whim, but in reality, a long-lasting lamp permanently illuminating the inner world of one another. Instead of letting others to doubt us, we wanted to be unique and prove to those who doubted us, and we want to make every one of our letters heartfelt. So Jiayi, tell us more about what's our second challenge.
Moving on to the next stage of club growth, we face another challenge. Certainly having this club run smoothly so far brought us some satisfaction, but very soon the difficulty came again. At first, we only had 15 pairs of pen pals, so teachers from the local school helped scanning the letters and emailed them to us. However, after writing to each other a few times, some local students raised their concerns about the privacy issue during the letter exchange, which was the last thing we want to happen. So we allocated a mailbox at the local school and provided them with stamps and envelopes. However, because our club members live across 3 continents, it's unrealistic and time-consuming for us to deliver paper letters individually. After some discussion, we decided to establish a volunteering spot in China. When I say volunteering spot, I mean one volunteer who helped the transition of letters between now almost 60 pairs of pen pals. In order to maximize what our little club can do, Fiona and I also shoulder various roles, from organizers, logo designers, article writers to letter managers. Since all the work are done by high school participants who have curriculum pressure, there is trade-off between whether to expand our club or to focus on the current size and do it well. We chose to do it well and direct our thoughts and activities in ways that support our goal, that is to improve the quality of communication. From the letter exchange, we also found out that because of their special living condition, left-behind children tend to be more insecure and shy about expressing the issues that are worrying them. So we think this one-to-one pen pal system is great, but it may not cover all the needs. We came up with another idea of Death Thought Treehouse as an additional platform to amplify the voices of left-behind children. In addition to the envelopes and stamps we send them, we also gave them treehole cards on which they can write down anonymous messages and inquiries to all club members. Then someone suitable will stand out and answer inquiries for them. This turns out to be a rather effective way. We also arranged a trip to the local school to meet with our pen pals face-to-face, which was a totally moving and unforgettable experience.
Unlike some charities, which raises money to those impoverished families in the village, we try to avoid touching on material help. Their friends around us ask why. Isn't money a more direct and effective way to help these communities and get them out of the economic plight? Yes, both of us agree. However, if we all focus on aiding them economically, there must be someone to help them with their mental state. So for us, helping is not just about giving things and money. Helping is about addressing a need. For the left-behind children community, this need is having someone to be with them and help them to vision a future. For us, being exposed to suggestions from our friends and career teachers, we more or less have a dream, maybe not a clear one. But for them, it's really difficult to have a dream. According to a local teacher in Gansu, 80% of the Chinese left-behind children will not get an opportunity to go into city even after they graduate. And some of them even drop out of school at the age of 10 to help their families do farming. By writing letters to them, we want to share our stories of growing up, being away from our parents, and studying in a foreign environment, how we deal with our emotional feelings, to hopefully give them some information and ways of looking at this world.
Our third challenge along the way is meeting with the general society. Many of our early initiatives were put aside because they were too idealistic in regard to real challenges of distance, time, and cost. As a student organization, it's fair to say that we lack not only social connection, but also experience. Just to mention a couple, although we are non-profit, there are financial costs associated with each thing we do, leading to a growing budget deficit we are now facing. Another example is about collaboration. We started collaborating with other charity organizations to arrange better activities, for example, a trip to a local school. However, there was inevitable disagreement because our focus and goals are quite different. The communication was not so effective either. So there were times when we felt lack of control over what we wanted to achieve, and we became independent. What we learned the most as two inexperienced teenagers throughout last year was a more mature way to adapt to these situations and find a balance between conceding to the limitations of our capacity and following our own heart. We now realize that these obstacles are not obstacles, but more as opportunities for us. This may sound a bit cliche, but it turns out to be true. I think this mindset can apply to everyone at our age who want to contribute to bigger issues such as global warming, refugee crisis, and many more. To those who feel hesitated about the obstacles along the way and how powerless we as high school students seem to be, we encourage you to follow your heart and strive for it.
We are at an age that we might think, oh, we're too young to do this or that. When we look at people around us who we think are excellent, our first impression will always be, he or she must be a genius. How could she get a 99.99% in her VCE? Or how could he make billions of dollars at the age of 13? Or how could this girl run a pen pal club? But not thinking what I could do to make my dream happen. Here is what we want to tell you guys. What makes us unique is that we get started on things we care and passionate about. Age is not a limitation. Lacking the courage to make the first step is. Also, don't be afraid to start a new initiative, as long as you put your heart into doing it. Just as we put our genuine heart into letter writing, into making a bond to achieve this long-distance communication. We stand out from those crowds who does nothing. So teams, get started now. Make your thoughts happen. Thank you.
Thank you.